Hello, good morning. Try to adjust my voice level. Welcome to my talk about the future of content. My name is Armin Stross Radschinski, and I'm an industrial designer and information architect. I'm quite a digital dinosaur, so I started to work very early with computers and also with electronic hardware. When I was 16, now I'm 52 years old, and you can imagine what kind of technology that was. Teletypes driven by motors, not by screens. Okay. This case is about the presentation of content. As one example, with panoramic views and 3D and VR headset and looking. But before I tell you something about that, this is quite short. I will give you an overview about the development of technology and where we are today and what we need and what we can do with Plone in the future. So if you are a designer, it helps you a lot if you have a kind of philosophy. And there are a lot of designers that are limited because of their limited skills. And when I started my education, I decided to be not limited. This is why I'm programming, I'm doing engineering stuff by myself. I do prototyping. We did 3D prototyping with stereolithographic printers 20 years ago, with the prototypes of that technology with Fraunhofer, for example. So it's not exciting. So I'm always looking for new exciting stuff. And maybe we can also use that to improve the experience with Plone. So what is content? If you imagine how content was transferred in the dark ages, people were sitting around a campfire and talking to each other. And yesterday I heard that even Homer spent his living by telling his stories he collected or he invented about Odysseus. By walking around over the villages and asking for money if he had told a nice story. So, technology is... oh, I was one slide ahead. Sorry for that. There's another interesting quote from Laurie Anderson. She's also a cross-media artist. She's a singer, she's a photographer, she did theater stuff. And she says technology is the campfire around what we use today for our stories. Maybe you know the extremely heavy impact Orson Welles did when he invented a completely new way to use the medium radio when he did his War of the Worlds performance. A lot of people were so excited they thought it was real that the Martians take over America. And after that, he was offered a lot of opportunities to make movies. He got, as a young man, 24 years old, a contract no one else got before. And then the studio bosses were disappointed because he created something so new and exciting that they think it's not possible to sell it. And he was, at the end, very frustrated because a lot of people don't get the sophisticated level of his work. So we see that today with internet video. When internet video started, nobody thought it was such a success, even that it's possible to handle this amount of data. And the mobile devices get a new gain in 2009, 2007 when the iPhone came. But Apple did the same in 1997 with the Newton, and it was also a cool device, but it was the wrong time. So today we are looking for interesting stuff, interactive content. Gamification is an interesting point. User controls timing of presentation. You can go back and forth in time. You have different personas of users that have different ways how to interact with the media, and that is not bad. And now let's take a look at the content, what we have, what we manage in Plone. We have, for example, text, images, audio, video. We can create slides. Slides are kind of interactive because you can control the timing when you proceed to the next slide. This is different to a screencast where the timing is almost fixed. You can stop that, but normally you cannot adjust it. What we do with the content, what we already have, we do composings. We see mosaic, you have pages, you have lists, and you have tile arrangements, and you can combine that in various forms to create new user experiences. Think about your browser as a stage where you present your stuff, and you can use elements that are helpful to get a better stage experience. You know, these sliders at the top of the page, they are a stage. And also accordion is a stage which gives you a certain focus instead of presenting all the images at the same time. And the carousels as well. So with the carousel, you get an idea in advance what kind of images are coming next. And you still keep the last image in your view to get the context. So, in fact, not only your browser, all the world's a stage. We see that on the Plone 5 poster. This is not only an essential thing Shakespeare took to attract people. The interesting thing with a stage is, and with theater, that you have to control the timing. If you make a joke, Monty Python is the best example. If you have a bad timing, it's not nice. And video and film have fixed timings, so the director controls the order of the information and the timing, and if he does a proper job, everything is fine. In gaming and interactive media, you control the timing, but you are not disappointed when the system responds well, so you can speed up if you need it, and you can become slower. One thing, in the last time we saw these one-pagers coming up, and a lot of people are making jokes about that, toilet paper websites and so on. This is also very interesting. If you do it in a proper way, you can control almost every parameter of CSS and the styling and the position by the scrolling parameter. So if the people are scrolling forward, backward, you can let something show up, go it away, and if the user needs to take a look at it again, you can go back if it's properly programmed. So you can create a very nice experience, and small movies you can control simply with the scrolling. And I don't give you so much examples about that because there is enough out there, but take a look from this point of view. So HTML5 and JavaScript were a really good step for us. We had Java in the past to create such experiences, and Flash was not a bad technology, but for the web, simply unusable. It was intended originally for CD-ROM applications, self-contained stuff, and was then transferred into the web. And because the content was not accessible, it was something for people taking care of their copyright, but not for an open culture. So when you think about front ends, we have these monitors today, and this is a very early interface for military applications. You have a kind of radar-like display, and no mouse was invented in that time. So the people pointed with a kind of light gun on the screen to figure out where something is on the screen and create an interaction. Now we think about the content. Why are these interfaces important and useful? In companies you have a lot of data, and you need the data in different representations. Andreas gave the talk about the publishing engine he's creating, and this engine is, for example, a very important technology to make that, what I'm talking about, possible. So you keep track of all the assets in Dropbox or in your local storages or in your online storages, and then you do transformations for different display technologies, different devices. We come to that later. And you have real multi-channel publication, and you can do really cool stuff with Plone for that. And the next thing, I promised I tell you why it's important to not do that in the cloud. Plone is excellent to keep the content important for your company safe internally, but it can also connect in a proper way to external media, maybe stuff stored in YouTube or Vimeo, but you can keep also track of your metadata in your own repository. So maybe the video lives on Vimeo, but you have a local copy and a local editing of the metadata, and if you want to publish a video, for example, on Facebook, you don't get a proper link to the original on YouTube. And if you start the process from Plone, you can distribute the video and all its links and metadata from a central point into different channels, which is also very important for communication departments. So the same as if you transfer your media into external services, the metadata can be truncated. You are not in control. Yes, you cannot figure out if someone changed your metadata, or maybe the other service is not secure and can be hacked. And you can also do a better usage tracking if you collect all the stuff and you see in your own dashboard how many people look at this video on Vimeo, on Facebook, or via Twitter and so on. And these services don't provide you that. And you can also manage revisions and so on. So Plone can deliver almost everything direct from Plone or connected to various storages and services. It can hold a lot of data and a lot of different data types. Sometimes as a simple file container, but also in more sophisticated ways. So I was talking about the future. Don't wait for the future. The best future is now. And our current future is the development gains we have in the browsers. We have now JavaScript engines which are very, very fast. They can do things we never imagined JavaScript engine can do in the browser. For example, digital signage applications, it was a market for dedicated software on dedicated devices. And today it's switching to Android-based, simple Linux-driven boxes where you can simply plug in a Google stick into a monitor and create a digital signage system from it. But the content has to come from a content management system. So if you create an interface, for example, from Plone to such an Android stick, you can simply create a company TV service, or you can roll out informations from the counter of the company. Welcome, these people are today in our office, or something like that. You can address the different monitors. They are just connected to a certain address, and you have a simple solution for a digital signage system. Same is for info columns or big LED walls. They're just devices, and if you're interested, go to the ESA in Amsterdam, see live what the broadcasting industry is doing with this kind of content. It's very inspiring. So display devices, state of the art, as I told, you can render with JavaScript PDF. You can now render 3D content. I will come to panoramic images later. Audio, video, you know that. And you can create desktop feeling applications as well, which are very responsive and fast. And this stuff is available on smartphones, tablets, and as I said, TV sticks, and it's coming now even to the user interfaces in cars. And still, the gamification is important, the gaming effect. If you want to keep people stuck to learn something, children like to play. So playing is not playing, it's hard learning for life. They do 20 years of hard learning for life before they start to earn their money. And if you see children playing, don't say you just play. And if you make your users play with your interface, they will love it. Touching is common today, and but keep track that you do not an interaction overkill. They like to lay back and just push on a tablet a website through. This is the benefit of these one-pages, where some people say, oh, I'm not control of the content, but sometimes it's nice to have these lazy interfaces. So today we see a revival of panoramic views. You can now take very easily panoramic views with your phones. And the interesting thing is with these panoramic views that you can get a good overview over a city or your surrounding. And if you think about the surrounding as content, you can give the same insight to people with your content. If you create a virtual lineup of your information, you can just move around in your browser with the normal panoramic viewers. And there are also other opportunities with virtual reality and augmented reality applications. So the technology is not new, it's quite old. Even in the 20s, the people had these stereographic images on a paper print. They put them into these looking glasses. Later, maybe you know a ViewMaster from your early days. And the people were very inspired seeing the images in 3D. But this is not moving, so the device is moving around with your head. You see always the same perspective. It's not changing. But there are solutions. This is a prototype by Ivan Sutherland. He created in the 60s, end of the 60s, and he was using, there was a device like this and a connected camera to train helicopter pilots. So if the helicopter pilot moves his head, the camera was moved, and he get an idea where he's looking. And Ivan Sutherland said, oh, let's connect that with a computer. And this is a very early version with 2 cathode ray tubes that are able to project stereo images direct in your eye. And the interesting thing is that you immerse into the content. And you have a full context of your information, not just a small display in a room here with this decoration. It's nice, but sometimes distracting from your main thing. So this dream becomes now reality. Maybe you recognize the Oculus Rift project. They started at Kickstarter and were bought for very, very much money by Facebook. And this gave the technology a real kick. And they started to invent or create real prototypes that get rid of problems you had before, simulator sickness, because you had delay. And if you take on such a device and you have delay, you simply like to vomit after a very short time. And Google jumps also after the Glassnode disaster, but it was not a success. On the same train with the Google Cardboard project, they created something similar to the Oculus Rift, where you can just put your mobile phone in a simple box made of cardboard with 2 lenses, and you get a basic virtual reality impression. So I originally intended to bring my Oculus Rift with me and give you a live presentation, but the installation crashed before I went to the plane, and it's not quite easy today because Oculus dropped the Mac support because simply the machines have not enough power with their mobile graphic processors. So I can give you later, if you like, a different insight into this technology. So in 2016, the consumer version of the Oculus is coming. There's a device from Samsung where you can put your mobile phone in, and other devices are coming in 2016. So it's very interesting. And you see here, it completely changes your view angle. You have here a distorted image, which is mapped around your view field. And you see here the standard view angle when you look on a monitor or something like that. And if you put on such a device, the whole panoramic view around you is wrapped. And if you move your head, you take something left of you, right of you, and even behind you. And it's very, very impressive, I promise you. So for example, here is an overlay of information, what you can do in two-dimensional ways, even in a normal content management system on a website. There's a 3D scan of a building and a computer-aided design drawing, which is overlaid on that. You know these interfaces where there's a slider, you can move, and the transparency is changing, so you see the real image and the simulated one. They use JavaScript libraries for visualization. It was just the inspiration for me to look at this technology. And this is finally how you can see that in this virtual interface. So you see navigation points, and you don't need to click anything. You just look at these circles. They can be hidden. If you look in the right direction, they show up. And these circles are navigational elements, so you jump to a different position. So maybe if you look at the top of the tower, you look a moment at that, and then you do a time jump, and you are on top of the tower. And on the other hand, you can also use the info button to show up simply two-dimensional information coming from your content management system. Imagine the normal Plone pop-ups or the overlays are opening, so you create content for this kind of experience in a simple content management system. You have a different presentation layer, and it takes out the media assets out of the content management system, use a rendering engine. Inside of your browser, you can do simple panoramic stuff with JavaScript plugins, but for the Oculus, I think you need a Unity application running on your desktop that is connected to your content management system. And then you can navigate in this universe, very nice. It's very impressive. If you imagine you're looking around and you look around the corner and the dragon is there, you are really shocked, depending on the situation where you are, and you can use these simple effects also for positive impression of customers or visitors of your site. It's the same inspiration like if you are really there. It's different, yes? If you see something on a website, it's a different layer. It's not what you see around. When I'm here in this room, I see all these decorations, everything, the audience around me. And the next thing is that there's no misunderstanding of the context. And therefore, your brain is able to memorize much, much better. So to make Plone staying alive, I will ask you to make the future of content happen and to invite people with new approaches, new people doing crazy stuff, hard those technology. Don't say, oh, this is a toilet paper website or something like that. Take a closer look. What may be the benefit of that? Maybe you can make a business from that. And even impressing other people is quite fun. I'm doing currently a project with Oculus Rift, and I never have seen so happy customers. Yeah, they are completely blown away. Think about that. There's more than the web. You can take that to the web and to your content management system. And Plone has all the benefits you need for that. You have a secure base functionality. You can deal with unstructured data. Maybe you need for a certain project completely different structure of data, and you just want to prototype it for one presentation. You can do that, and you are in control of the workflow. If you have people working for you, for example, if you have these panoramic images, you need some people who fill up the statistical informations, maybe something from a business report, latest numbers need to be at the latest state. And this is a work you can distribute. And to distribute that, you can use Microsoft Office or a proper content management system. And to connect the stuff, you can use Python and all the technologies you know. Thank you. Do you have any questions? It's not done with Plone yet. This is why I did the talk to engage people to do the same. I had 2 days before I was coming to the conference, there was a question on the German Plone IRC channel for someone who tried to connect panoramic images to Plone. It was very interesting. And he used KeyRPano JavaScript stuff, and this uses a cubic approach. So you have images mapped on the sides of a cube, and you provide these images. There are tools to convert normal panoramic images into this cubic format, which has the benefit if you look at in one direction, you just need to load one image, and then if you go around, the system figures out, oh, he's going to the left, load the next one, or he's looking to the top, load the next one. You can also use cascading resolutions. If somebody wants to zoom in, they can load a smaller square with a higher resolution. And it's very interesting what you can do with that. I have here a simple phone and drop it in, and then you can take it on your head and you get this experience. And if you like, I can give you a chance to take a look. So, more questions? So, I give a question. Who has already taken on such a virtual reality device on his head? 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Who did it here? Okay. This is very interesting because when you show it to the customers, it's possible that some people have seen it, but not so much people. And if in the current state, the developers know about this technology, but a lot of customers not. And if you just show them the technology, even if you not sell them, you make them really, really happy and they have something to tell. So if they are on their next campfire, they can work for you. Thank you.